Thank you for finding time to join today and have a chat. So there's a lot of speculation going on about is it the beginning of Third World War? What we're gonna do? Is it enough already prepared, planned, and how's about our capacities, economic capacity, manpower capacity, ammunition? Are we able to restock as fast as Putin does, and his economy, and all those questions? And obviously lots of opinion on that matter. And while preparing for today's live and listening the scholars from the think tanks and the politicians and the military and from European countries and Ukrainians, and it's still like the general mood in Europe, like it's still in Ukraine, it's still Ukraine's concern. But there is no such feeling the Russian invasion has already happened in Europe by this or other means. And it's not, let's look at the attributes to be precise. For example, arsonist attacks. There were in Poland, in Czech, in the UK, and so the Russian Secret Service, GRU, how they sort of doing it, and it's not the new tactics. They've been using it even before they annexed Crimea and before they invaded in the east of Ukraine. They employ either Ukrainians who live abroad, paying them money, organizing, and these acts of terrorism are happening, or they, for example, before the war, they using false Ukrainian passports, using Ukrainian territory. This is the tactics or the things that we're using before 2014 through Ukrainian territory, and sending own spies to Russia. And it's been happening for years. That's why when 2014 happened, there was huge mistrust between the Secret Service of Ukraine and European. And it took a while before this trust built up, before the cooperation started. If you're interested on the subject, General Kondratyuk, he's former head of defense intelligence, still very strong speaker, very strong expert on security and everything about spies. I just love him. And he's been on the podcast just fine. I think he was kind and generous. He was my second video on this podcast, so go back. He gives lots of insights. Be honest with you, there are some insights which he didn't want to say, but it would be very impressive, because this is the person. He never served in the Soviet army. He was educated in Ukraine and in America and in the Netherlands as a Secret Service officer. He's general, so he's so knowledgeable, so educated, and just amazing speaker. Every time our paths crossing or communicating, such a pleasure. I'm so grateful for him. So if you want to know more on this subject, how GRU were using Ukrainians or Ukrainian citizens, it's going back then. So, and oh, I can see Sally. Oh, Sally, thank you for joining. Thank you. And K-Bell, lots of love to Australia. Oh, be careful on the road. Anyway, so while GRU, and we discussed quite some time on the podcast, the problem with Russian Secret Service, a part of they carry on with the Soviet tradition with KGB and so on and so forth, there's such a huge number of them. There's so many of them. And they targeting different missions and different functions. More about it told in the interview on my podcast, General Pavlenko. He used to be the deputy head general Kondratyuk. He was more explaining also about the role of the Russian Orthodox officers abroad and how FSB and different other Russian secret services using those officers and for their agents. And you know, the summer when I was traveling with my daughter, and it was quite a drive in Europe. And one of the places where we stopped there was Paris, and while we were walking and here and there, and just I was helping her to embrace Paris. Do you know where I've seen not far from the Eiffel Tower? There was a Russian Orthodox church, and it was just, you know, I wish it was just about the spirituality, the religious, but unfortunately, since many years, the representative of Russian Orthodox Church, they proved to be one of the departments of the government machine, and unfortunately they are serving the secret services. So anyway, if you're interested on the subject, checked interviews General Pavlenko, and because he was talking more how the spies, the Russian spies, playing their games in Europe and the US. So it's quite extensive. So I have two parts of his interview and General Kondratyuk about what was happening in terms of communication, building trust and operations since 2014. Hello Arizona. Hello. Oh, Indian Reservation. Welcome to the podcast. Roy, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining, finding time. Anyway, so we have these elements and these methods and tools which Russian secret service are using to sort of like planning attacks and spreading the fear and disconnect or break the unity among Europeans and and raise the aggression against Ukrainians and Ukrainian refugees in Europe. Just yesterday I came across the video. It's claimed to be Denmark, the Denmark citizen, and he was saying it was about 37,000 Ukrainian refugees. Many of them found jobs, many of them educated, well-mannered, and he was saying there's sort of a blessing to have refugees like that. I get that still there are people who rely on social support or benefits or things like that. And I know it's not an easy life for them. They're trying to save children, kids, and when it's hard in your own country, you don't feel very sympathetic or very kind towards refugees. But I assure you, as soon as it's safe in Ukraine, majority of them will leave, because many of them had better status, better work, and they had better life than being refugee anywhere in Europe. So anyway, go back to attributes of this Russian attacks. A part of drones, obviously, in Poland, and Poland now, Polish politicians, they consider these recent drone attacks, 19 drones in the airspace, as a wake-up call. And they say, oh, we had a storm of support from the partners, from other countries. But let me just be very careful with that. You see, the declarations, the promises, the verbal support, that's probably where many of them will stop. Ukraine went through this in 2022 because many politicians using this as a self-promotion, as giving many promises in front of cameras, but when it's actually coming to delivering, not many did. And I want to emphasize on Bulgaria government. Bulgarians at the very beginning, their condition was to make it silent, not to advertise it, and they were sending to Ukraine so much ammunition, so many tanks, so many artillery, and all of that. And their participation It became later, I think in a year or maybe even more, about their support and their role in sort of helping Ukraine to figure out and sort of like hold the attacks and incursions into territory. So again, just recently we sort of had discussions and this Putin's attack on Poland and Romania and also these Baltic countries is always sort of under attack. Not so much with drones like it's happened with Poland, but the recently the head of defense intelligence of Estonia, he said there are lots of Russian spies trying to do some terrorist attacks, and I don't remember the number how many people arrested, and they waiting for the court hearings and probably will be in prison for 15 years, 10 years. So it's all happening, and I'm sure there was the conversation with the representatives from Czechia, the same. So very much they prepared, and if at the beginning they were unsure and suspected Ukrainians or something, because for Russians it's not just important to plan and address and execute this attack, it's also to put the shadow on Ukrainians. And you know, it's like one of the aims, and even with drones, not just to attack, not just to intimidate, but also to break the unity or disrupt the ammunition supply or air defense system to Ukraine, because one of the Putin's aims can be sort of the countries can keep it for themselves. They feel frightened. They need to protect own airspace, and so stop to send it to Ukraine. But the problem is the way how I see it, the sooner Ukraine will be given everything they need and even more to win, to stop Russian advance, to stop Russian occupation, the sooner war is going to be over. And this unity and this strength of Ukraine, it's something terrifies Putin and his government. So because if Ukraine completely occupied, if Putin takes control of Ukraine, all the resources, human, military, will be used against Europe. And it's not what anybody wants. So that's why this unity and this sort of like cooperation and actions will be paid off with peaceful and comfortable life. A part of them, Finnish representatives and the representatives from Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, they all say these strong propaganda narratives among the European citizens against rearming, against holding, you know, strong and being prepared to fight back. For example, for the past year, about 20,000 Polish citizens, just civilians, joined the military training to be, they learning how to dig the trenches, how to be able to defend if Russia goes further, if Russia invades actual Polish territory, so they would be able to defend own country. And you know, recently I've been part of the conversation where Ukrainian mother of a teenager, and they were discussing the future profession choices and the emphasis on something which can be useful in terms of war or the ammunition supply or the anything, because it doesn't seem that Putin is ready to stop. It looks there are all attributes that his war machine is restocking ammunition supply, the systems and everything within 2-3 months. And this is not what happening, for example, in Germany. Yes, for the past year they changed constitution, they found the financial resources for the weapon production, but the problem is the plants still don't work 3 shifts as they supposed to, or they could do. They still work in 1 shift, and this is how it doesn't work at the moment. And while sort of Poland as well, they report and they sort of like sorted out all the bureaucracy and look at the things how to speed up and being able to solve the problem. Still, they all talking about being ready for the war by 2030. Putin is already there. Putin is doing it now, and it's 2025. So it's it feels like the general feeling is about the there's war in Ukraine. And while Ukraine dealing with issues and regular attacks and losing thousands of the soldiers and civilians, and you know, any disruption with supply of ammunition to Ukraine, it means Ukraine will lose more people on the front line or in those sort of firefighters or civilians if Russian drones fall on the residential block like it usually happens. So all those things is just every delay, it's the price of the human life. This is what Ukraine's going through. So, and the other interesting fact in terms of this Russian activity and spreading Russian propaganda, so far among European countries, Finland and Estonia are the best instead of like encouraging critical thinking among their citizens. Finland, they teaching critical thinking and understand West propaganda and how to sort of navigate in this storm of information. They teaching it at schools. And no, a long time ago, I was at the interesting research among the British audience, and the British audience at the moment struggling with the sort of like with this propaganda, Russian propaganda narratives, and this is where the UK need to put more work. So Russians. Recently, I've heard from the Ukraine defense intelligence experts that Russia has about 15 scenarios of war with the NATO countries. I know it's part of the, you need to be prepared, you need to have analysis and compare capabilities and all of those things, but forward them out of 15 with Poland. And so how Russians do it? So first of all, they kind of, before doing anything, they're going through escalation control, and also about the work. The second point is the comparison of the combat potential. So they compare the people, tanks, ammunition, and making sure if it goes further, it's all in place. I know the learning from the previous experience, and we know how they were planning to take Kiev in 3 days or occupy the whole of Ukraine, and how they still failing. It's 4th year, they're still fighting in Donbass. So their calculations can be a little bit off, but when I talk to the servicemen from the front line, they all admit that yes, those miscalculations or missteps, Russians learn, correct, and advance. So we shouldn't rely as Europeans, as Ukrainians, as the sort of the community who wants peaceful life without Russian aggression. We have to understand and be prepared and deter by being strong, by being prepared, by being able to restock and work 3 shifts at the ammunition production plant, not 1 shift, and be able to speed up all the bureaucratic processes. So there is also speculation, is it the World War III? Are we there, or we still not there? There's more from Ukrainian side, because you know there were being taken in captivity North Korean soldiers, Chinese soldiers. Also, there are lots of volunteers from all over the world join Ukraine's international legion. They are there. So many countries already on the battlefield. Is it enough to be called World War III? Tell me what you think. Do you? Because as a, you know, as a Ukrainian, I feel it is there, but I don't live in Ukraine, so it feels like, oh, there's still peaceful life, isn't it? We're still sort of like going on holidays, we're still taking kids to school, we still sleep through the night, we don't have to sit in the bomb shelter with our children. So it's, is it there? Let me know what you think, because as sort of like, it doesn't matter how many articles you read, analysis, or the scholars' papers, the opinions are various. I'm just interested what you think. And whenever you are, I can see Johnny, hello. Whenever you are in Europe or any other, like Kay in Australia, do you think, do you feel the war is there? Do you see any tangible differences? And are they changing? So let me know what you think. And yeah, and sort of see how it goes. And it's just... recently, it's just, you know, sort of like summarize today's live. I would like what the apparently Putin had recently government meeting. He was very unhappy how his economy plunges, and the ordinary Russians can feel it when they go to supermarkets on daily shopping. The size of the supermarkets getting smaller, the choice of the produce getting smaller, and it's all sort of like the war is more and more tangible on Russian territory. So, and I think unless it's under the pressure from inside, and unless Putin feels, and his team, his 70-something-year-old guys feel they are losing, unfortunately, it will carry on. And it doesn't matter, is it in Ukraine or beyond. Thank you. Thank you all for joining and taking time and discussing and leaving your comments. Thank you for supporting and becoming members of my podcast channel. I really appreciate it. And I will try to satisfy your appetite for information, for analysis, and to access to the amazing speakers on the subject. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Means a lot, helps a lot to promote the channel and to grow our amazing community. Please hit like if you're interested and if you like the... So, and then I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow, and we'll have a chat on the other subjects. And please drop me comments below. What subjects are you interested? There's something you read or you listened and you would like for us to open up and look at it and dig deeper. Thank you very much, and I wish you all an amazing day or evening, or have a good night's sleep if you're somewhere where you're preparing for peaceful rest. And so take care and have a fantastic day. Good luck. Bye. Thank you for watching.